Hi all, Dennis Brown here with TKR Studio, and this is Triste Part 3, and we're going to talk about improvisation. How do you do it? I have some guidelines for you. I can't call them rules because it's improvisation, and you hesitate to say there are hard and fast rules, because basically you're making things up, but it's not totally random, no. You're making things up within the structure of the song, the chords of the song. So the song goes on, the chords happen exactly where they would happen when you're playing the melody. Usually. There are exceptions, but that's usually the way improvisation works, jazz improvisation. And so you're making up your own melodies in your head that work with the chords of the song all throughout the song. The jazz saxophone player Phil Woods once said that when he's improvising, he knows where he is every single beat. He knows what chord is supposed to be there. So again, you have to be aware of what's going on. I'm going to call that guideline number 1. Know where you are in the song. Know the chords, and also know what notes might be appropriate for the chords. So, for example, in this song, Triste, even though Cedar starts it with the song is really written with an E flat major 9 there, or a major 7 at the beginning. So with a major 7 chord, you're going to want to stick to the major notes within the major scale of that chord. Maybe not include the 4th. Now, one thing you can do sometimes, or fairly often, is arpeggiate. So I'm going to call arpeggiation my guideline number 2. And now, it does't mean, when I say arpeggiation, it doesn't mean that you just arpeggiate the notes of the chord. For example, this first chord, E flat major 7. No, not really. That's probably not very good. But if you look at it as a major 9, those top 4 notes, the way I'm voicing it here, are essentially a G minor 7, G, B flat, D, and F. Right. There's E flat major 9, but the top 4 notes are a G minor 7. So you can arpeggiate on a G minor 7. Also, you can arpeggiate on some extensions of, for example, dominant chords. There's a point in this song in the middle where the chord is a B flat minor 9 to an E flat dominant. And the E flat dominant chord has a flat 9, which is an E natural. When you have a dominant chord with a flatted ninth, which is a very common situation, you can play a triad that contains that flatted 9 tone, in this case the E natural, and the triad in this case would be a C major triad. Whoops. Right, so I'm just doing inversions of a C major triad. But when that's played on top of an E flat dominant chord, so I know what I do sometimes in this song when I'm improvising. I'll play. So, just arpeggiating a C major triad on top of that E flat dominant chord. Okay, let's see. So arpeggiation was one of my guidelines. Another guideline, of course, is hearing melodies in your head. Just try to make up things, make up a melody. It doesn't have to be a good melody, but there's a melody. And I went back to the E flat major 7 chord, and I played a melody using the notes of the G minor 7, which is the extension on top of that chord that turns it into a major 9 instead of a major 7. There was an arpeggiation on that B flat with a flatted 9 and sharp 11, which is, remember? So there's that B flat 7 with a flat 9 and sharp 11, and the triad that works on top of that chord is an E minor triad. So E, G, B natural. That works because, well, the B natural is your flatted 9th. The E natural is the sharp 11. And the G is the 13. So in the context of the song, so I just did inversions there of that E minor triad on top of a B flat, A flat. Okay, so another thing about improvisation is you want to balance between randomness and structure. Meaning, if everything is totally random and unpredictable, your improvisation, your solo is going to be boring to people. They're going to lose interest. If you keep doing stuff like that and not really going anywhere, it's not going to be terribly interesting to your audience. So try to strike a balance between randomness and structure. Too much structure can be boring. Too much randomness can be boring. I'll call that my guideline number 4. Guideline number 5, listen to great players. Almost goes without saying. I had a piano teacher one time who had me listen to great saxophone players. And this is going back quite a few years, so he had me go all the way back to Lester Young, great saxophone player, tenor saxophone. He had me listen to Lester Young solos and learn them. And so don't just listen to piano players. Saxophone players, you're going to get lots of great ideas. Trumpet players, whatever. But just make sure you listen to the great players. And finally, practice. Improvisation is like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get. And again, as you're improvising, just keep in your head where you are in the song, and always know what chord is happening wherever you are in the song. At the point of the song where you are, know what the chord is. Otherwise, your improvisations are not going to make any sense. The notes aren't going to sound right, obviously. So that takes some getting used to. Improvising and keeping straight where you are in the song. Okay, well, there you have it, some guidelines for improvisation. Keep practicing, and thanks for watching.